Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to our weekly sales meeting. Hey, you're blocking our camera, guests.
That's okay, you were dancing, it's all right.
You're all good. Sorry?
She was dancing.
She was dancing, so it was totally okay in the camera. It's totally fine.
Power roll.
So today, I know I saw Jason earlier. There you are. You want to come up and do your spiel, your thing, your deed? Yeah? Come on up.
Okay. Thank you all. Good morning to everybody. I'll keep mine pretty brief, but the thing that we're most proud of right now is we have completed our first stated income loan. That has been done, and it actually finished on time, and there wasn't a snag, which anybody in the mortgage world will tell you that anytime you're working with a broker that's got a new product like this, usually it's a nervous time, and you really do not want to be the guinea pig, because then you find out all the real things that are going on. We're happy to report there wasn't any real things going on. There was a couple of little tiny things that were behind the scene, but nothing we couldn't overcome, and we got it done. So we had a deal that was a $1.4 million purchase that they were in contract that the place told them no about a week or two into the contract. Anybody, show of hands, happy when you lose a $1.4 million deal? Probably not so much. We were able to save that. The person put 20% down. Again, we got it in mid-contract, and we still finished on COE date as well. Why? A big reason, we don't have to prove income for this thing. So usually that's a big, huge deal. So what we want you to put your eyes and ears out for more than anything is your business owners, your people that might have maybe in the marijuana industry that can't use their federal income, our tip people, which we have a ton for. A lot of people have been struggling with their income for COVID. We have a lot of times where our incomes are being slashed. Like, let's say that you've been working hours for a long time at a construction job, and you missed about a good 8 months last year. Well, now they're using the lowest scenario that they could possibly use for their income, and now a person that maybe is making $6,000 a month, and you can see it right on their pay stub, they're only giving them $4,000, and now they don't qualify. Give this one a shot. We might be able to save your deal for you, and now we have a little bit of experience doing it. We've got a couple more in the pipeline. We also have a foreign national one that we're doing with them as well here now. So if you're having any problems, if you have a deal that's going sideways, let us know.
And that was Jason Mavora with Prosperity Lending. He didn't introduce himself, but I think we know it. It's all right. I didn't introduce you either. I just figured you'd do it. So with that, today, we actually thought it'd be really cool, since I don't know if you guys have seen recently that Ryan Reeves is no longer with us. Beta, this is a good time. This is a great time. So you guys remember our Sunday, don't water on Sundays, don't water, turn off your sprinkler, da-da-da. Well, he's gone. He's gone. No, he's not. So there was a lot of conversation about, because he's no longer here, what do we do about water? Do we still water all the time? Do we wash our cars? What do we do? So I thought it'd be really cool if, and this is actually a really great, amazing treat for me, because one of my best friends is here. And like any good story, and not you, Katie, sorry. Like any good story, we were drinking one night, this was pre-75 hard. We had talked about doing some form of conservation outreach for our agents. Well, now it's become even more and more important because Ryan Reeves isn't here anymore to come kick your butt. So with that, I'd like to introduce our I forgot what your title was again. It was outreach something for conservation with the Water Authority. So with that, Pietra Sardelli. Wow. Give her a round signature welcome.
Thank you. I really wanted to just come up and do the. I want to thank you all and really make her uncomfortable because she was so afraid that we would have no personality when we got here, but I decided to let that go. So my name is Pietra. I am with the Conservation Outreach Team with Southern Nevada Water Authority, Las Vegas Valley Water District. Katie's going to pop up here in a second and actually give you some real information. You haven't heard this yet, but we're actually looking for all of you to be Ryan Reeves. So we're going to look at you to elbow people, perhaps just run right into their garage. Okay, no, you don't have to actually do that. But it's, you are the front line, and everyone is always asking you the questions, and to make sure that you're armed with the information that you need to have about conservation. That's going to help all of us conserve water and keep the valley growing. And I know that that is everybody's lifeblood here, so we all want to see that. So I won't keep Katie away. Ariel, came in earlier. She's on our team as well, and she brought in some information for you guys. I ask that you please take it, get some information so that you can better inform your clients. Katie is the manager with our manager service department at the Southern Nevada Water Authority and the Las Vegas Valley Water District. And like me, she's a native Las Vegan, so this is near and dear to our hearts. So without further ado, come and do, Katie.
Hi. I apologize. Do I have a little clicker up here? Perfect. Perfect. There we go. No worries. Thank you for having me, and thank you for having the Southern Nevada Water Authority. My name is Katie Horn. I'm with the Management Services team. We're like government affairs. We have dorky names in government, so I apologize. And I apologize if I'm going to be standing in front of do one of these. Okay. So a little bit about the Southern Nevada Water Authority. I kind of wear two hats. I wear SNWA and also wear Las Vegas Valley Water District. Southern Nevada Water Authority is the agency that's responsible for the regional efforts. So regional conservation, regional infrastructure development. So that way Henderson isn't fighting with the city of Las Vegas to access water, or Boulder City isn't building their own $1.5 billion piece of infrastructure in Lake Mead that their customers have to pay for and not share it with North Las Vegas. So there's a lot of value and cost efficiencies in having a regional agency. Depending on where you live, it's most likely, if it's around here, you're paying a water bill to the Las Vegas Valley Water District. Las Vegas Valley Water District is a purveyor. Henderson is also a purveyor. North Las Vegas is a purveyor. Boulder City is a purveyor. Those are the purveyors are the ones responsible for kind of your billing, putting meters in ground, fixing water leaks in the street, and your water waste enforcement. So a previous employer of Ryan Reeves. Let's see what I got. Okay. So SNWA has a pretty big job. We serve water out of 7 out of 10 Nevadans, and that number has remained pretty constant for the last few years, and we anticipate it as Southern Nevada continues to grow, we might increase to 8. So it's a big responsibility that we don't take lightly. We have people working every day to make sure that water is there when you turn your tap on, and water will be there when you turn your tap on in the future. Where that's coming from, where that tap water is coming from, is the Colorado River. So the Colorado River is dependent on snowpack up in Colorado. So Vail, when the snow falls in the winter, it melts, creates inflows that flow into the Lake Mead and also Lake Powell, and just a multitude of reservoirs up and down the Colorado River basin. We meet about 10% of water demands with groundwater. Those are typically pumped in the summer to meet peak demands or to meet some water quality needs, but largely whole and whole, it's the Colorado River that is meeting our demands. In Southern Nevada, and especially this is interesting for a lot of people who may not know or are relatively new to the community, we recycle 99.9% of water use that hits a drain. So if it hits a drain in Southern Nevada, a shower, a bath, a sink, laundry, wherever that is used indoors, it is returned to a wastewater facility, treated to highly standard or high quality, discharged into the Las Vegas Wash, and discharges into Lake Mead. So it effectuates like one large water recycling loop, and is one of the largest recycling programs in the nation. The only losses we see are when water is used outside. So we don't get that water back once it hits a blade of grass. We also don't get water back when it's in an evaporative cooling. So evaporative cooling towers are at casinos, at really large industries, industrial properties that need large cooling needs. So we're also looking at, so anyways, that's why all of our conservation is focused on addressing that outdoor water use, because once it goes outside, we can't see it back. Once it hits also a cooling tower, we don't see it back. So we're looking at, so most of our dollars, our conservation dollars are invested in reducing outdoor water waste and addressing indoor cooling technologies. So a little bit about our resources. It's super hot. It's also super dry. It's been like that for about 20 years. I was in a presentation the other week when our general manager was making the point that, like, if you have a high school teenager that's like, well, not even a teenager anymore, like a college graduate, they have grown up in a drought in Southern Nevada and don't know life outside of it. And so there is drought fatigue. That when we continue to tell you that there's a drought and to conserve water, we understand that people are like taking their foot off the gas pedal, but This year especially is one of the worst. It's the second worst recorded year of drought in history. So it is not the time to take your foot off the gas pedal in terms of water conservation. It's really hot, it's really dry, our inflows are really bad. We have our general manager and basically all of our executive team right now in Utah, meeting with other Colorado River Basin states individuals, working on what to do with this. Next week, the federal government will likely declare a shortage on the Colorado River, which means all the lower basin states will need to take less water. So let me talk a little bit about that. We work very hard to protect Lake Mead water elevation. So again, this is not Southern Nevada's water use that is making Lake Mead go down. Lake Mead is going down because there is a drought. Also, Lake Mead is going down because 7 Colorado states use it along with the country of Mexico. Nevada has the smallest share, it has only 1.8% of its Colorado River total allocations. Other states have much larger, agricultural needs, municipal needs. So when it was divided, that's how it was divided. Lake Mead elevations are going down. However, all of the states are protected to conserving or committed to conserving the Colorado River resources because we all share them, and keeping Lake Mead elevations high. Southern Nevada's infrastructure depends on lake elevations, so it is definitely in our interest to keep our elevations high. And those states can only access their, California and Arizona can only access their water resources if Lake Mead has water in it. It needs water to go over the spillway so it can be delivered to California and Arizona. So this is a lot of information, but it's also showing that Lake Mead has a high percentage of continuing to decline in future years, in like next year. And on top of that, Southern Nevadans are using more water. Kind of as I mentioned, there is drought fatigue. We know that in terms of marketing. We're trying new things. You see Ryan Reeves, like those things are working, but not to the extent that we need them to. In 2019 was kind of a weird year. It was a really cool and a really wet year. We recognize that. It was a kind of a little bit of an anomaly in terms of water use. What you're looking at is kind of water use throughout since 2002. 2002 is the worst year of recorded drought, worst year of drought inflows in recorded history. And you see that Southern Nevadans responded. They quickly started to conserve. We put a lot of conservation programs into place. That was when our development codes were enacted. That's when our watering schedule was enacted. A lot of things happened in 2002, which is reflected in our water use. Since, however, kind of to 2014, our water use has been ticking up, and we really cannot have that continue because we don't have the water resources when they're continuing to shrink. However, the good news is that go ahead.
Sorry, I have a question. Do you think a lot of that is because we're building more houses, or is it truly because of people using more water?
So, let me go back a little bit.
Bringing in the real estate.
Right, no, I understand. So it's interesting because Southern Nevada, even though we continued to use less water, we were growing during these, especially we were growing a lot right here. So we were continuing to reduce water use while we were growing. So we have decoupled growth from water use. In this span, I think we've added about 600,000 new residents or 700,000 new residents, but we decreased our water use by about, we'll get to a slide because I don't want to add the number yet. I don't want to, because I don't remember it. So I'm like, that's why. I don't want to say the wrong number. And new homes are the most water efficient. They are typically a smaller thumbprint. They have typically no unused grass. They don't have a large landscape backyard. They have water efficient appliances. So as we continue to build homes or multifamily properties that look like that and meet those needs, then we can continue to grow. It's using water at home. It's a non-functional turf. It's which I'll get to in a little bit. It's really and following the watering schedule. When we follow the watering schedule, we see a huge savings in water use. And I'll talk a little bit about that too. So thankfully, Southern Nevada Water Authority has been working on drought and managing water resources for the last decades, the last couple decades, to make sure that Regardless of what Lake Mead looks like, we can weather the storm. We've been constructing infrastructure, we've been planning for water resources, we've been working on our conservation programs, and we've been banking water. A little bit about our infrastructure. In 2015, the third intake came online, so that is the new straw underneath Lake Mead that comes up right in the middle on the bottom. So we can pull water up to 875 feet, so we've got a lot of capacity until we can no longer draw water. Our other intakes were plumbed at 1050, so elevation 10,050. So we're at 1076 right now, I think 1076. And so we are creeping very near those old pieces of infrastructure. And so without this new lake intake, that would have we would have been in a real crisis. The third pumping station just came online 2 years ago, or maybe it was last year. It was early in the pandemic last year. That third pumping station came online. That is not in function right now because that will only work when Lake Mead is at its lowest. We have that to meet the demands of when Lake Mead water, the elevations continue to go down. Lake Mead pumping stations 1 and 2 are currently meeting those needs. We have water stored for the future. Right now we have about 2.1 million acre feet stored. That's about 8 years of water use for southern Nevada, stored in all kinds of places. We have it in California, we have it in groundwater banks in Arizona, we have it underground right here in our groundwater aquifer, and we also have some stored in Lake Mead. So we can pull that water when we need, and we cannot take that water when we are unable to take additional water from Colorado or from Lake Mead because our allocation is reduced, we have storage available to bridge those demands. However, that is a finite quantity of water, so we have to be careful, and we are saving it really truly for a not rainy day.
Dry day.
We are continuing to plan. So our resource plan is very long and exhaustive, but it does some really important things. It considers it projects our demands under 3 different scenarios, 3 different population scenarios, and projects our hydrology under 4 different scenarios, kind of under normal hydrology, which is probably unlikely to happen because drought is the new normal, to kind of more aggressive, really stress test types of scenarios. So we have 12 scenarios in our plan, and we identify how we're going to use current resources and some projected future resources to meet those demands. In most scenarios, new resources are required to meet those demands. And what that looks like is, right now we are investing into a California recycling project. In Southern California, they are constructing a $4 billion recycling project where so currently, California does not recycle their indoor water use like Southern Nevada does. We treat the water, return it to Lake Mead. They're going to treat their wastewater and inject it into the ground so that they can store it again. So that will create a huge volume of water resources for Southern California. We are investing into those plants and that infrastructure to receive a portion of those water savings. So how that would work is it's always a transfer, right? We're not going to build a line to Southern California. That would be billions and billions and billions of dollars. So instead, they're going to use their water. We're going to use a portion of their Colorado River water from Lake Mead. So when that project comes online, that's how that would work. But that will help meet those future demands. And the good news is that Southern Nevada has been growing sustainably, largely through this program. This is the Water Smart Landscapes program. You guys are probably familiar with this, with the easement that you guys have to review when you sell those homes. We've removed to date 197 million square feet of turf. That represents billions of gallons of water savings. We have been able to, if you lined all that sod up in a line, we would be able to wrap it around the earth. So it's a lot of unused grass. But that means a lot of water savings. So kind of as I alluded to earlier, well, and by alluded to, I couldn't recall the numbers. Our population has gone up 52% since 2002. However, our water consumptive use has gone down 23%. I'm not aware of any other community in the United States that can say those kinds of information or that kind of stat. So this is really something to be proud of, but we have to do more. Our economy is driven a lot by our continuing to grow and diversify. And so we have to, the only way we can do that is conserving more water. And in addition, there's some challenges as we continue to grow, as we continue to conserve. Climate change creates an additional challenge as we continue to try to meet our conservation goals. And as does our aging water infrastructure. We have a benefit of having a relatively newer water system as compared to other major municipalities. You look at New York or Detroit, these older water systems. We don't have those kinds of challenges. We have newer pipes in the ground, which reduces the water leak rate. However, as those system ages, we're going to have to be in the ground more, replacing those pipes, which I know like creates more construction cones for everyone, but which I know we all love construction cones, but it's good. It's good. It's all good things. Progress. What we're focusing right now is non-functional turf. So what we're not talking about is the turf that is in your backyard that your kids play on. We're not talking about parks that we hang out on. It's the stuff that no one touches. It's the stuff that's in medians, it's in roundabouts and streetscapes, it's in maybe front yards, it's maybe in unused backyards. It's wherever someone is not using their grass. It needs to come out because it is a very inefficient water use, and we have seen very real savings from replacing it. And in our lawmakers recognize this, and they have our community's best interest in mind, which is why AB 356 was passed earlier this year, which makes non-functional turf, which prohibits the Colorado River water from watering non-functional turf by 2027. So we are currently, except it exempts single-family residences. So we are currently targeting right here. We're working with an advisory committee to look at how to replace this and what this means for the community and what kinds of things can stay and what kinds of things need to actually go. So we're going to probably see, especially I live in Summerlin, there's like grass everywhere. So we're going to be seeing probably a lot of conversions, more cones, but also more water savings coming soon. Ryan, so as I mentioned too, another thing that is really important is our watering schedule. And I know it's a pain to get out there and change your watering clock, but it is so important. Even if we all improved, our community improved 15%, we would get more than 19,500 acre feet annually, which I realize is a lot of technical term for a lot of water. So 19%, so that's 20% is about a little less than 20% of our whole water supply. So just a little bit of change, a little bit more compliance, reminding your neighbors to turn back your watering clock, especially in the fall and the winter, super important. It yields a lot. In winter alone, when it's just one day, 1% of improvement is 350 million gallons. I mean, it's very real water savings. Additional conservation reduces the need for new water resources. So I showed these earlier. We talked about these new water resources that would need to come online to meet future demands and what we're doing for that. But if we just reduce a little bit, it pushes that need, and in some scenarios, pushes the need for any new water resources. So if we can just keep conserving, we can continue to meet demands. So kind of where I'm ending on, replace your unused grass, follow the mandatory watering schedule, report water waste, fix your leaks. I just fixed one. It was like a total pain in the butt. I hate it. Like I have 2 giant holes in my backyard where we had to go under the pool. Like it's not, it's terrible, but it's part of, being a good steward of our water resources, and it's important to keeping our community protected from drought. And taking advantage of SMWA coupons and rebates, and really that's like where Ariel and Pietra can help. That's gonna rain.
What was when a lot of people turned their sprinklers off on that Monday when it rained? What was 65
Million.
65 million gallons
Yeah,
of
but it was.
water was saved just by turning off their sprinklers on the one day it rained.
And that's why I would also push those for individuals like me who hate going into my hot garage to change it. I have a little app and it's just like, burp, burp, to change your watering clock, or you can set it if it even has rain sensors, it'll turn off for you. I'm way into things that make your life easier, so I highly suggest taking advantage of some of those coupons or rebates. So it's part of your irrigation clock. So you need a smart controller when your smart controller will provide the app.
Yeah, don't you?
We didn't live in the ghetto?
Sorry, we don't offer an app. It's part of your irrigation controller, so.
You can apply, we actually have a rebate program if you purchase a smart clock. So if you.
Wait, hold on, I'm giving you a mic. Come here. Hello.
Okay, that's Ariel.
Introduce yourself, please.
I'm Ariel Riley, and I work for the Outreach and Resources Department for SNWA and LVVWD. So we have the packets that I brought in have several great information to look through. One of the brochures actually goes over all of the rebate programs that we have available where you can apply for them on SNWA's website. So the smart controller that I was referring to, my husband and I actually just redid our whole lawn and installed a new watering clock. So Rainbird has an app where you can go on, sorry, I'm really nervous. You can go on the app and you can change your watering days right from your phone. So if you want to remove a day, you can remove a day. If you want to add a day, you can add a day. It is super, super convenient. I love it. So all about making life easy. It's a great investment.
How much is that?
So the one that we purchased, it was $179, but we applied for the rebate and you get $100 back.
Okay, so, sorry. $80. You guys, how many times have we given clients gifts that don't matter? Right?
Hey, speak for
How
yourself.
about, I'm sorry, I haven't, but some of you have. And so, candy dish, yes, that candy dish. Imagine giving them one of the Water Smart, the doohickeys that have an app that they can just turn it on and off, as a gift for buying a home. Like, how cool would that be? Which one? You already got your chance to talk today.
Just have a question.
Yes.
Let's say I've got an old system, like a lot of people do, and I'd love to get this smart app, and I probably think I need to upgrade my whole system. Do you have one you'd recommend or anybody to call to help me install it? Because I don't know the first thing about, even if I bought it, putting a new one in.
It's just a clock.
Yeah, no, I hear you. This is like every day I don't know how to do things. So online, unfortunately, we really can't recommend a contractor, but we do have online do we have the brands list of like who the controller, we have a list of what controllers that we rebate. And so the clocks, the watering clocks, what clocks we rebate, and I would suggest any of those. They have all been tried and true from anyone. You can just get them on Amazon. And then you go through the SNWA program to get the rebate. It's pretty easy.
And then, sorry, Water Smart contractors that are listed there as well, the people who've gone through the training to understand it a bit more. And also, you mentioned washing your car.
Hold on, you can't speak that much without a mic, because there's people online that need to hear you. Sorry. If it was like 2-3 words, I'd allow it, but.
Okay, I'm sorry now. So I'm caught in my area. So there's Water Smart contractors that are listed that you can get to, and then also in regard on Southern Nevada Water Authority website. And then also, if anyone sees my car, it's filthy. But there are a lot of wash companies in town that reclaim their water. They've put in the infrastructure, they sanitize themselves. And if you could look for those when you wash your car, just to think of keeping it in a drain versus going into the street.
So cool thing, you've got coupons for those
Coupons.
people.
We have lots of cool coupons.
There's a lot of, sorry,
Don't talk about the mic.
don't talk about the mic. So there's this little doohickey right here, Water Smart Hero, that has a ton of coupons, rebates, I don't know what all this other stuff is, but it's kind of cool, and they've got coupons for a Car Wash Warrior, which does exactly what she was talking about car wash wise.
So you're only talking about replacing the clock, not the entire system. So just like my thermostat, I buy a new clock, it's because they can hear me, I guarantee you they can hear me. So I'm just replacing that piece, and so for that, you're gonna give me a rebate once I buy it, I turn in my receipt, and I get a check in the mail.
So, I'm sorry, do you want to go or do you want me to go?
So yeah, we don't offset the cost of like your full water landscape. It's just the clock, yeah. But if you participate in the Water Smart Landscape program and you're pulling turf out, you'll get a rebate.
Will you talk about that, because we deal with
Yes.
that a lot?
Yes, I'll talk easements all day. Very excited. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say for the smart controller, you also buy a Wi-Fi connector. So that's how it gets connected to the app. So it comes with a rain sensor. And as Katie had mentioned earlier, when it rains or when it senses it's going to rain, your clock will automatically turn off on its own. So you won't even have to go into your garage or when it's hot.
Arthritis.
I know it's coming.
I know it's coming. My knees hurt. Time to turn off the air, or the water, yeah.
And so, and then to piggyback on the WSL, the Water Smart Landscaping Program, when you do that, you also apply, and the kicker is a lot of people don't know this, but apply for it first. Somebody from SNWA will have to come out, evaluate the square footage of how much grass is going to be removed, and then once you kind of go through the whole process, it's super easy. I mean, they literally make it super easy for you, and we got a check in the mail, and we were good to go.
How long did it take?
Literally, after we finished the conversion, I would say we got our check in the mail within 30 days.
I mean the process that you went through for like submitting it to them coming out, looking at the conversion, how long did that
From
take?
beginning to end.
Yeah.
So from beginning to end for how we did it, let's see, we started our conversion, we started September of last year and we finished it February. So it kind of depends on the homeowner, how quickly you want to do the process. And a lot of people, what can be intimidating for them is the price of, having to hire a contractor to come in or a landscaper to come in and do it. Fortunately for me and my husband, we were able to do it ourselves, and we had family come out and help us, and it was just kind of one of those projects that we were like, we're doing it ourselves. So, but yeah, you literally, with the savings that you get, I mean, it literally pays for itself. It's an amazing program.
So right into conservation easements. So yes, when people do participate in the Water Smart Landscaping Program, how we ensure that we receive a value for that or receive an asset is we put in a conservation easement on the property. So we want to ensure that the water savings remains with the house in perpetuity, and that the investment was made for that asset. So yes.
So is there an event where somebody can reverse that?
Yes.
So they would have to rebate the water?
Correct.
For any allowances?
Yep, so what they have to do is, say they come in and they want to build a pool. That homeowner would just reach out to the SNWA, and it could be a new homeowner, it could be the original homeowner, it doesn't matter who it is, and they just pay what was paid to them. So that rebate.
There's no statute of limitations on how long?
Correct, there's no statute, you can do it, like,
20 years.
right, exactly. So I do know that it is pretty easy if you were just going to say, this entire backyard was grass, I want to now put in a pool and I'm going to pay the full amount. If there is, I do know it gets a little, not hairy, it's just some challenges when you only want to do half of it, right? So if you're only looking to pay for half of the rebate and convert half of the landscaping back to what it was, that's when we have to send people out to do the reviews and all of those things. So that does take time. If it was just tell me what I owe and you write the check, or your homeowner writes the check, then it's a pretty quick process.
And I want to make sure we have a broker moment on this real quick, is that when you have a water easement on a property, let's say you've got a buyer that's like, oh, this backyard's amazing and it's gonna, there's gonna be a pool in it, I'm gonna build a pool. You can't find that on a property profile, okay? So you have to do a full-blown actual preliminary title report, and the title report will pull that easement for you. What I recommend is if you have a escrow officer that you work with, that you really love to work with, make sure that you have a conversation with them, that anytime they send you that, they'll note it, but more importantly, that you're looking out for it. You have to review those preliminary title reports to make sure that there's no water easement on it, because it could be a cost to you. It could be a problem in the future where the buyer's like, I told you I was gonna put, a pool in here and you didn't point out that there was in fact an easement on this property. Yes?
Realtor question.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this something that could be on the seller's disclosure?
Yes, it should be.
Yes, it should be on the seller's disclosure. But I will tell you, if they've done it, now I had a seller that did it years ago and didn't remember for whatever reason, and so they didn't disclose it, they forgot, whatever. But if you look at your preliminary title reports when they come through, like you should be as part of your job, you will see it. Okay? You'll see it as a listing agent, you'll see it as the buyer's agent. It will not be on a property profile. Where will it not be? On a property profile. It's got to be on a full-blown preliminary title report. Cool? Okay. Any other questions? Yes?
I forgot, where do you go to find out if a property's in a flood zone?
Where do you go to find out if a property's in a flood zone? There's actually a website for that somewhere. What is it called? Flood zone something in Las Vegas. Google it.
Actually, there's
yeah, it'll probably show up in the RPR as well. Thank you. Yes, Shelley.
Is this something that we can actually hand out to our clients?
Yes, so this was a packet that's, if you notice the letter that's in here, so everybody online that didn't come today, we've got some extra packets for you to pick up. I did ask for digital versions if we can get those, that would be great. But we have packets, if you need more, you can actually get a hold of Ariel to get them. But it is a letter to the homeowner that just bought their new home, right? And then it comes with all the stuff in here. So this is an actual packet for a buyer of a home.
This is like really cool to hand out as people are door knocking, you're trying to find
Yep.
reasons to give value. So
Great
people
value.
not
Yeah.
because you're just trying to buy or something like this.
You can't talk that much without a mic.
Yeah.
She said that you can go door knocking with this and provide some value. That was Shelley Panzarella with Prosperity Lending. So that you can actually go door knocking with this, so you've got some value that you can provide to your clients. This is also a great way to touch base with your database again, is to have the conversation about water conservation, just some of the things, the coupons that you can provide, all of that. So we'll be looking for more of these, obviously. Yes, Chris?
So when my client asked the question, is Las Vegas going to run out of water?
Yeah.
We get that every friggin' day.
You didn't take a picture of that slide?
I didn't ask you. What would your answer be to that question? I mean, do you think we're going to run out of water in the next 10 years?
I think as long as we conserve, we're not going to run out of water.
Okay.
We have to keep conserving.
Do your part, right?
Mhm. Do your part.
Oh, boy. Okay. Scott, and then, okay, 1, 2, 3. Go ahead.
Curious what the status is of the water pipeline project from northern Nevada?
I'm
doesn't-
sorry, I just want to repeat it for
Yeah,
everybody
so
online.
the question was what was the status of the northern pipeline project? We had a previous, short answer, it's dead. There's no plans to continue to pursue the northern pipeline project. There was a proposed project to move unused water in eastern Nevada down to southern Nevada. Environmental permitting plus cost, it just ended up being that we can find some other resources that are easier to access, that meet our long-term demands. It's just as easy. So that is, we do no longer even have permits to that area. Yes.
Going back to Chris's question, I get it from sophisticated investors who've been here for a while. They don't ask, are we going to run out of water? They say, I'm afraid of the water shortage. I'm afraid we're going to run out of water. I know there was a slide there. Is there anything in this package, or are there any type of bullet points that we can have on hand as ammunition to answer that question?
Yeah, you know what? We're actually in the middle, and
You go ahead.
no, we actually have one little like infographic that has it starts with, is Las Vegas running out of water? We are dusting it off because it was a little outdated. It's just not ready. It's still going through their graphic design reviews. So we hope to have that probably live in the next week. So
Would that be something that would be online?
yes, it would be on snwa.com. And so as soon as we get that live, we have
I'll
someone's
task you
contact
guys to-
information. Yeah, so we can get that to you.
That's a question we
Yep.
have to answer all
No,
the
and
time.
we get the same one as well. Yes, absolutely. So, unfortunately, it's just not it's not as easy as a yes or no, right? And so there's a lot of variables that have to play into this. It's water conservation. It's ensuring that future development doesn't come at the expense of water, and that really means things like maybe data centers are no longer a good fit for Southern Nevada. Data centers are a huge water user, huge. Do they employ a lot of people? Maybe not in terms of what their water footprint is. And so, it's cooling. It's a lot of water use. And so, but you look at a casino, tons of indoor water use, but also huge employment and a lot of taxes for Southern Nevada. So does that make sense? Probably. So it's just changing how we diversify and ensuring that those new water uses do not come at the expense of our community.
My question was, what's happening with Lake Mead, does that also affect people that have their own wells?
If I was a well user, I would say no. It doesn't really. They have their own water use. They have their groundwater aquifer, which Nevada is also, the western United States is in a drought. So their groundwater aquifer is not recharging as fast as maybe it would be in a good water year. However, there's just not that many, I don't want to say that many, there's about 8,000 well users in southern Nevada, not 2.2 million, so.
So this is interesting. So in our business, we deal a lot with water rights, right? And it seems to be the most antiquated, out-of-date system in our state. Is there anywhere we can go to actually learn more about water rights that you guys supply info on?
So Southern Nevada Water Authority isn't the entity that oversees groundwater. Groundwater is managed exclusively by the state, so that would be the Nevada Division of Water Resources.
When you
So,
find them, let me know.
yeah, so I would head to their website. I know that they have some information about water law, but I would recognize that it's not the most like customer friendly. It really is more of like a water user business that you can go in and search permits and stuff like that. I'm not sure, I haven't been on there, and so I don't have enough information to be able to direct you to where there's just overview of water information. But the Southern Nevada Water Authority manages the groundwater management program, which is a program to help well users if in case their well fails to get onto the municipal supply. So we do hear stories of people who have to share water rights on community wells, which I anticipate would be a realtor, something that you guys come in contact with sometimes. So it sounds exciting and fun.
Yeah. Last question to follow up on that. You said we use 1.87% of the water that we get from the Colorado River.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the smallest allotment,
Mm-hmm.
and now they're negotiating for some differences. What do you see happening with that?
So they're not necessarily changing the allocations between who gets more, because what would happen is that in order for Nevada to get more water, someone else would have to get less, which no state is in a position to give more water away because they're just not using it. California has significantly more, like they have about on the order of 4.4 million acre feet. Arizona, I think that's 2.7 million acre feet, but they also have huge agricultural demands. Basically all winter vegetables done and sold or eaten in the United States in the winter are grown from California. They need that water. So what they're working on today, what they're working on in the future is how to continue to use less water in the states or in the basin. So working together has led to a lot of success for our shared resource. That means we all collectively are using less. We have agreements in place so that as Lake Mead drops, we are all going to use less. And we have, the states can then work on their individual plans to manage how they're going to reduce that water from the Colorado River Basin. They have a lot of infrastructure plans to help reduce water use. They have a lot of grant funding for users within the basin to access to help reduce water use. For example, those agricultural users I know are shifting a lot from like flood irrigation, where they just flood the plains and let the water sink down, to drip system. So that's a lot of money for those large irrigation companies to just come up with. So the basin states are collectively funding programs, and so is the Bureau of Reclamation, to offset those costs. So it's really working together to incentivize conservation. A lot of programs also are not necessarily applicable to Nevada, but it's like lining canals so that they're not leaking. We don't have canals in Nevada, but California, you see them all the time, the water running through it. So lining canals, lining reservoirs, all kinds of opportunities that can just save every last drop of water throughout the basin. So that's really where they're focusing on, how can we work together to just reduce use.
So if we see water leaks and stuff like that, we call that number that was on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was walking with the girl this morning, she told me she had a $600 water bill this month.
Yeah.
I'm like, you better call and see, because you guys will help them find the leaks, I believe, or?
We don't. So
they fine you for it.
Yeah, sometimes we help you find them by a large water bill. And so, which kind of happened to me. When your leak is under your pool, you don't know that you're leaking until you go from a $50 bill to a $600 water bill. And so the Southern Nevada Water Authority Las Vegas Valley Water District does not offer it. However, their website does offer tips and videos and all kinds of things to help find those leaks, to help isolate them. But a lot of times it might just require a plumber, especially if you have pools and big irrigation systems and other things. That a $600 leak is a massive leak somewhere. It's probably, if you're not seeing it on top, it's probably under your house.
One of my friends only has landscaper forgot to turn off the pool water.
So that's something similar, like when I built my pool, something similar happened. They actually called me. The water authority actually called me and said, hey, you've got an active leak. I'm like, no, it's the pool's automatic fill. And they're like, no, that's not it.
Yeah.
You need to get, you need to figure that out. You've got so many days to do that, otherwise you're gonna be fined.
Yeah, they can tell if your water is running continuously, so you'll start seeing notices, and that's
Yeah.
pretty much a leak.
And sorry, go ahead.
There's an app, the Report Water Waste, sorry, no.
Report Water Waste app.
That you can download on your phone, and I do that when I walk, and it doesn't mean that I'm narking out my neighbors, it means that they'll come by, verify it, and put a door hanger to let them know. So if they're not there and I can't tell them, because my neighbors love me, they let
Sorry,
them know.
can you-
Report water waste.
Yeah, so there's, sorry.
You can, go knock on your neighbor's door. You can download a Report Water Waste app. You can also just go to the website to report water waste. If you see it running into the street, that does not mean that you have now narked your neighbors and that someone's going to show up and fine them or yell at them. They're going to come by, verify that that's a repeat thing. And it will say if they're watering on Sunday, it'll click for you what they're watering on a bad time, they're watering on a bad day. It knows exactly what's happening, and then you can note anything else and upload a photo. They'll just let them know that it happened. So it's actually really, really beneficial.
Yeah.
It's what Report Water Waste to the Las Vegas
Yeah, if
Valley
you just
Water
search the
District.
Las Vegas Valley Water District, it'll show up in the App Store.
Maybe the HOA.
Yeah. A lot of times, and so much water waste, I mean, we all know it, it's just you see like broken, people don't really even notice, people don't know that that's what's happening, is they're away from their home, and meanwhile, they're like watering the sidewalk. So, very helpful. Highly recommend. Thank you, Pietra.
I'm here all week.
Yeah.
You're not.
No, I am.
She's like, no, you gotta go.
Snacks.
Oh, yeah, we have food. You can stay all week. Any more questions? Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, guys.
So don't forget to grab one of your packets from up front. I know I passed out a bunch of them for those of you who showed up late. Grab a packet. If you need more, Ariel's phone number and contact information are in here. You can also contact her to get them. And thank you so much, Katie, for doing this. And thanks for Pietra for bringing her. I appreciate that. All right, so with that, I don't have anything else to say. I know, it's weird. Does anybody have any broker questions that I can handle for the next 12 minutes? Awesome. Do not forget that Shelly is going to be doing list reports right after the sales meeting. So if you are planning on staying for that, we've still got bacon. Have an amazing week and go sell some shit.